Welcome to your weekly 3B session, a podcast made for you, listener, to comfortably sit back, relax, and listen to all the horrible, scary, and thrilling stories provided. Let's begin. I'm writing this looking for folklore help, in particular, anyone who knows anything about Mexican legends. Google does not seem to cut it, as I just get a few Wikipedia and blog links that are extremely shallow and are not applicable to my situation. In particular, I'm looking for information about La Pelona. My mother and grandparents are Mexican, and I heard a lot of stories, even though I grew up in America, about La Llorona and El Nahual, and even that chupacabras thing, although I think it started in Puerto Rico. But I had never heard about La Pelona. What I do know is that whatever she is, she's real. It all started a few years ago when I got a chance to travel along the south of Mexico and spend a week with relatives in their rancho. During the day, I would take an hour-long bus ride to one of the many nearby historic towns and eat and drink and walk around like a tourist taking photos. Usually by sundown, I would be full and drunk so I could sleep on the bus ride back to the ranch. After a few days of this, I was feeling worn out and decided to actually explore the small town I was staying in. Downtown was just a couple of blocks around a big church and a plaza, but in every direction. If you walked a little, you made it into the monte, surrounded by bush, crooked trees, and a few barrel cactus. By noon, I was feeling dehydrated, so I started looking for a garden hose to drink from or a corner store where I could buy a bottle of water. I saw a bunch of kids who were laughing and playing around the tree, so I asked them where I could get something to drink. One of them offered me a sip from a big plastic cup, but I politely declined. Ándale, she insisted, so I took a big gritty gulp, and it was agua fresca with pineapple chunks, although I swear it tasted alcoholic, like tepache. I asked her where she got it, but she pretty much interrupted my last syllable by asking in Spanish, "Do you want to play with La Pelona?" I saw she had a naked Barbie doll in her hand and it was worn and warped, with its hair completely burnt off. Pelona, basically, is female and bald, so I chuckled a little, wondering why the child had done this to her doll. "No, thank you," I said and offered the kids a few pesos. "Andele," the child said as the other kids giggled. "My doll just wants to sit in the tree. That's where La Pelona lives." I figured it was harmless fun, so I gently took the doll from her and moved the branch aside with my arm so I could sit her on a horizontal branch that swooped low like a hammock. As soon as I moved the leaves, I realized I was face to face with something small, pale, and wrinkled, like one of those hairless cats. The kids started to laugh and rushed towards me, so I looked down at them for a second. Then I looked back up and got a good look at La Pelona, who was some sort of balding old woman, barely a foot tall, with sagging breasts and long cat-like claws. She was naked, covered in wrinkles and blood-red dots like chickenpox. Whatever little hair she had on her head fell in little wisps of white, one of them covering part of her cat-like eyes. Pendejo, she cackled at me, calling me an idiot. The kids held me as La Pelona jumped from the branch and dug her claws into my scalp, making a hissing, growling noise. I wrestled with the creature that clawed at my scalp, keeping it away from my eyes, while the children laughed and punched me in the stomach and groaned, screaming, "Pendejo, pendejo, idiota," and other words for stupid. I was able to tear the thing off of me and throw it against the tree where it landed effortlessly and scampered up. I'm ashamed to admit I punched one of the children in the face and broke free. I kept running, stumbling, and trying not to throw up from the exertion and fear. When I finally made it to my relative's place, I realized I was still holding the burnt and bald Barbie doll, so I threw it over the fence and vomited hard until I had tears in my bloodshot eyes. I told my relatives what happened as they disinfected the scratches on my scalp and rubbed a little Vicks vapor rub on them for God knows what reason other than making them sting. I told them I was attacked by children, some sort of goblin. "No, pendejo, it was a cat," they corrected me. "Idiota," chuckled my cousins. "You're scared of a cat, how stupid." "Leave your window open tonight so you and the kitty can become friends," one said. In that moment, I realized they had the exact same attitude as the kids. taunting and cruel, so I grabbed my bags and took the next bus out of town. My parents wired me some money, and I spent my next 2 nights at a hotel in a tourist town, unable to sleep at night from fear and the itchy pain I felt in the stitches I got at a clinic. 2 years later, I've decided to finally give in and look for information about what happened to me, with little to no success. I tried to forget, to imagine I was dehydrated and got attacked by a cat, but the memory is way too vivid. I can see her clearly when I close my eyes. Also, I've gotten scratches from a cat before and they healed right up. Not these. I have to shave my head now since my hair grows in patches, completely avoiding the pale scars La Pelona left behind.